Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I'm headed to the Commonwealth cabin. We've got a doozy of a show here today. Something that I wanted to talk about for a while and got a message that kind of prompted it. It's about some sneaky buyers and what they do to prey on eBay sellers. It's also about some sneaky sellers, you know, folks like us that try to get away with some things as well. I want to talk about that. I also have, for the first time, I'm going to really get into a topic that I haven't talked about much, which is why I really made that decision to get away from teaching and into reselling at a much larger scale. Plus, I've got an announcement that I want to talk about at the end of this video as well. Let's go take a look. All right, I need to go in here and turn off this AC. I also got to show you about some changes that I've made and something that just came in the mail today as well. I got to turn the AC off. It's AC time of the year again. But it doesn't always make for the best audio. Let me jump in and show you this real quick before we start pulling stuff. And this is actually my 4th video of the week. And I don't normally do that. I do 3, but the sales have been coming in, and that's kind of what the announcement is at the end of this show. So I finally got this in here. I put in all of these so that I don't make a mistake that you'll see later in this video in here, and I've divided them up so I don't accidentally pull the wrong one. I also put some of the keychains in here as well for now. Need to come up with a way to decorate. Maybe I'll add stickers to this one as well. And I had to pull these off the wall, so if you're used to seeing them over there, I think I'm going to put, I love this one. This one is just super cool. I bought it at a sale. Some of you may remember that sale. And I think I'm going to put it up there. We've got that tape coming down. I might just put it right there. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I've always loved this too, but I might sell it. Who knows? At any rate, finally got more of these in. So if you've been watching the Picker channel, I haven't been giving out the stickers because I ran out. So I got some more of these in. I think got them a little bit smaller than last time, these die cuts. Probably put them over on CommonwealthPicker.com as well. So we're going to start today talking about sneaky buyers who also might be sneaky sellers, just depending. But I'm going to do this sale here first before we get into that. This is, I think I told this story the other day. This was something that there was no comp for. And I had bought a ton of stuff the other day. You're going to see this sale on the Commonwealth Picker channel. It is amazing. And I got all this stuff in, and the girls happened to be here that day. That's something I want to talk about later as well. And they just helped me divide things up. Live selling type stuff over here and eBay selling stuff here. And so I think it was Bub's girlfriend doing a comp on this one. She put it in the no comp. It's not going to sell on eBay. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm sure that's going to sell on eBay. She's like, there's no comps out there. There's nothing like them. Like, I know that's why it's going to sell. Plus, it's Ric Flair. And there is an autograph here, but that was of the picture that they put in here, so there really is no autograph on this. But I put it out there for 50 bucks. Got a sale just like that. So, I don't know, you guys have been out there selling for a long time, but whenever I find something that is in a niche that's highly collectible, like vintage wrestling, that nobody else has, I know it's worth something. Now, that's pretty flimsy. There's not much to it. But I figured I'm going to put it out there for 50, and I saw watchers immediately, a few questions about it. I'll show you a few more things in just a second that kind of lends itself to that story. This was a tough one, though. So while I don't think that one was necessarily underpriced, even though it sold just in a few days, I mean, it is literally, it's like I mean, there's nothing to this thing. There's just a few pages in it. But absolutely awesome little piece right here. And it was the only one out there. So look at that. That's Jake the Snake way back in the day. Just really cool stuff. Ricky Steamboat. Anyway, this, on the other hand, I think I may have underpriced this just a shade, but these are tough. Sometimes you'll see comps from China that are way below everything else. There was only one comp of this particular one right here. There's this Spelletta. Did I pronounce that right? Magic Night Out. There's some similar comps that are a little bit different that go for around the price that I sold this for. But this one, there was one listed for $110, free shipping. But this one was not. I mean, it's, you can see the package is all torn up. And I was like, And that one, of course, didn't sell. And then there's these Chinese comps in there. And I'm like, you know what? Let's put this one out there, see if it goes pretty quick. And it did. And I kind of regretted it. I think I probably could have got $50 for it. But I got $35 for it. Plus shipping. I only paid $1. All right, so let's talk about sneaky buyers first. And, you know, I'm going to tell a story here, and I don't have all the facts for this story, but it's just a suspicion, and this type of thing is certainly something that happens often, especially in the category I'm going to talk about. And you folks who've been reselling for a long time, you can chime in with your stories below, because this was a new seller asking this question. And one thing that I've noticed, because you see me do what I do, and I'm no expert in a lot of categories, cameras being one of them. So if I look at something, and I know there's value there, but there's 8 million pieces, and I don't know how to test this particular thing, and I'm just like, I got no idea. You know, I don't know about the mold and all this stuff, and I try to examine a camera, an old one, and all of the lenses, and there's different prices, and I don't want to comp everything out. So every once in a while I make a decision. Financially, it's probably just as good for me just to put it out there kind of as is, 4 parts. Here it is, put a good price on it and sell it. That's what I did with the camera. I think I sold it for $59.95 and a ton of stuff with it. And I know that if I knew what I was doing, I could probably get closer to 120, 130 selling that off in pieces. Well, there's resellers out there who specialize in things like cameras. There's a lot of folks who do online arbitrage. That's all they do, is buy in their niche, and they buy off of eBay, and they buy lots. And so I put in the title, I'm like, you know, hey, as is, and you know, it is what it is, look at the pictures kind of thing. And then I shipped it off, $59.95 plus shipping. The person sent a message back to me, and they said, hey, you know, I got it, you know, thanks, all that stuff, but this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. I'd love to keep it. Can you give me a partial refund for this? And I'm like, hey, I just took a screenshot of it. I'm like, look how it was listed. That was already built into the price. So, you know, send it all back if you want to, I suppose, or I'm not giving you a refund. And so there's one little tactic. I don't send refunds out to people who are asking for partial refunds unless I know I have made a mistake. And sometimes you got to eat that cost. But I think as a whole, all of us as resellers, that should be a practice we're using. It'll cut those people off at the pass. And look, it's that person I guarantee was a reseller. You know, I don't know the person. They're probably telling the truth. My guess is they did test all that stuff. But still, that was built into the price when you sell something that way. And a lot of savvy buyers, you know, they know that you don't want that return. You don't want that item back. You don't want to pay for the return. You don't want to do all that. And they kind of use that knowledge to their advantage if you let them get away with it. And in that case, I just decided, hey, I'd rather eat the cost. For sure, this is a My Pal we picked up in a bulk buy. And I was like, yeah, this isn't the kind of stuff I like to list. But you know what? Do a quick test of it before you clean it. Don't clean anything before you test it. Because if this thing wasn't working, it wasn't going to be worth selling. And it was working, so we put a little time into it. Sold for $30 plus shipping. Let me tell you, there are some that are extremely savvy, and if you let them get away with it one time, they'll save your account. And they'll figure, hey, I'll do this again months down the road. Some of you might remember me picking up some trains. I think this is the right one. Smoky Mountain Railway, Bachman HO train. And I picked up one at a sale, and then I picked up a whole ton at another sale. I usually don't deal in trains because I don't know much about it, but I knew this deal was good. This one sold for $59.95 plus shipping. So if you are a reseller that has been doing this a long time, one of the OGers that watch this show, and there's a ton of you out there that know so much, tell me your experiences below. Tell me if you ever do partial refunds and under what circumstances, and what you do to avoid that type of sneaky buyer. And by the way, that's not to say that there's never a reason to issue a partial refund. I do it from time to time as well. Man, I thought this one would be on top. Thought for sure it would. There it is right there. Because we just put it in here and just listed this thing. And I just got those trains up, which is really good because there's a whole bunch of them. And we're selling some off in lots. I have another auction going up as well. And this set of Tupperware, I was out with my wife. This picker video will come out here in the next week or two. I don't often get to pick with my wife, but she had to drop Reagan off at practice, and it was a nice day. She's like, hey, I'll meet you. And I'd already been to some. And this was at a sale, and I was teasing her because she found some good stuff, but she left the Tupperware, and they were $0.25 a piece. So I paid 50 cents for this. I think I gave them $1. And because it's a set, is a good way to sell these off. And they sold for 22 bucks. $22 plus shipping. So $1 into 22 for a little bit of Tupperware. Let us know all the scams that you have been part of down below in the comments. This one was a hard one to let go. Now I won't be able to find it. Unless it's the other side of this one, I think it is. There's Jimmy Snuka on that side. Nope, that's not it. But I think that one sold too. I know it did, actually. Must be this one. This one was a hard one. This one I almost kept for my own collection, but I'm trying to be disciplined and telling myself nothing for my eBay or my 80s eBay cave in there until it's done, and then I can buy for it, because I'm trying to be disciplined about it, because I've already put one tote of stuff away. I don't want to put another one, but this one, again, no comps out there. There are comps for this Mid-Atlantic Wrestling magazine, and they were pretty good, even without somebody like Piper on the front. So I put this one out at, I think, $69.95 for this one. And I had a bunch of questions and a little bit of traction on it as well. And somebody wanted to bundle a few together and get a better price. And they're asking me if I had more of them and stuff. And I'm like, all right, we got a winner right here for sure. So I was just nice. I was like, hey, you know, I just put these out there. They got watchers. You know, I'm going to send an offer out very soon on these once I build those watchers up a little bit at 5% off. And I'm pretty sure I'll get a sale. I didn't say that to them, but that's exactly what happened. I put an offer out at 5% off, which means it went out for around 65 bucks, 64 something, plus shipping on that little magazine right there. And I paid, this one pays for all the wrestling stuff I bought at this sale. And I did a video about it that's either out or going to be out soon on Picker. And I put a total value on it, but I hadn't really gone through everything. I hadn't even seen these magazines yet, so it was actually worth more than I thought. I think I put a low number. I paid $350 something for everything I bought that day, $60 for the wrestling stuff. And I think I said lowest end is $2,000, high end around $3,000. I think lowest end is $3,000 at this point. I pulled some Hulk Hogan rookies out of that bin of cards that I hadn't even looked through when I filmed that video. It just got better and better, and it's stuff I love. All right, I want to talk about sneaky sellers too, because there are, you know, just like any profession, there's good folks and bad folks. But here you go, Steamboat on the back, Paul Jones, man. Just cool stuff. I don't know, who is this here? Mid-Atlantic Wrestling magazine. So I had more of these, and the same buyer bought both of these when I sent out the offer. This was a buyer, this was a different buyer. This one was bought by two. So we sold for $50, $65, and $105 for these two. So crazy, crazy good day right here in these. That's over $200 in sales. I don't know, what's the math on it? About $120, no, $220 plus shipping on these four, which is crazy. But they bought these right here for, like I said, right around, I think this was 47 and this was 57, something like that, ish, plus change. And it's all going out today. Really, really cool sales right there. Let me just add this too for the newer resellers out there. You know, I get tons and tons of messages all the time about stuff. And I'm, in all honesty, I'm a little lazy in the description and doing all the details. I'm getting better at different things like sizes on shirts and stuff and measurements and all that. It's not perfect by any stretch. But so I get a lot of questions. But a lot of times I get questions that are clearly answered. They're clear as a whistle, clear as a bell in the listing itself. And you have people that ask all these detailed questions. Now, there's two kinds of people who do that. One is just somebody who wants to make sure they're making the right purchase. They want to get reaffirmed in what they're buying, and they've had a bad experience before with some bad eBay seller or something like that. And that's totally understandable. The other one is the person who is so particular about something that it really heightens the chance that you're going to get a return. A lot of times I don't answer them at all. Or if they ask a dumb question, I know that's not popular to say, but come on. If you've been reselling on eBay for a while, you know there's a lot of dumb questions out there. And so I just don't answer. I just skip it and go to the next one. I don't take the time to block people and all that. But you can kind of get a feel for something that might end up being a return. So let me know if you've had those experiences out there. Speaking of my changes in here, I have this drawer. I've always loved this one, which is why, because we put labels in here, thanks to the Toy Addict, for all those ET pins. We haven't sold an ET pin in forever. We used to sell them like every day. And so I'm probably going to do something like that over there. And it's just such a great way to store things, to find them quickly. Now this one, there it is right here. This one's a little different because it's not one of the ET pins. But these have been hanging around for a long time. We have, I think, a couple left right here. Breast cancer awareness pins, and so we reduced the price. They're going out, I think, for under $7 at this point. But Wayne picked these up, and Wayne buys from us from time to time. Wayne, we appreciate you. And of course, I didn't combine it with the other thing we bought yesterday. So, but they are headed your way. So I got a message or a comment on the Commonwealth Picker channel, and a lot of times people on the Commonwealth Picker channel ask these types of questions that if they watch this channel, the Commonwealth Flipper channel, we address this stuff from time to time. And I just thought I'd give this one out a little bit and then talk about some sneaky tactics here. Hi, I'm coming to you for advice. I recently got scammed on eBay over a microwave, so not a small item. Dealer would not send tracking till I threatened to take it up with eBay, which is a little odd because it should be automated, right? Then he sent tracking, said it was delivered. Tracking said it would be sent on this date. It arrived on this date. The tracking said it arrived on this date. eBay said it was delivered and closed my case. I have been in touch with them so much that they won't take my calls. They direct me to email. She says that the last message from them says it was delivered and it's out of their hands. I have cameras, she says. Nothing was delivered. I needed the microwave weeks ago and I'm unable to cook for myself at this time. Do you have any advice for me? They took $92 that I really didn't have to spend. So I'm sorry for that, but this is on the buyer side, right? And a lot of people who watch Commonwealth Picker channel, they're not resellers. Same thing with Facebook. You know, it's consuming content that they enjoy, the treasure hunt. You know, this channel is really about flipping and the reselling side of the business, where that's kind of, well, it appeals to both, I suppose, but you get the point. So that's why I said this channel is really where we kind of address that stuff. But this is something from a buyer. And so I feel sympathy for folks who buy, and I'm assuming it was it, did she say eBay? Yeah, she did say eBay. Now it's a microwave, so I don't think it's like a USPS tracking. It's probably FedEx or UPS or something like that. So I replied to her comment over there, and that really is a tough one because we as resellers, and you know this, you know, if you did your job, right, and you packaged up something and you gave it to the shipper and you got the tracking and it shows it's delivered, we certainly don't want to eat the cost. So my suggestion was to continue to try to deal with eBay on this, but that more than likely won't work either. And really, maybe nothing's going to work in the end here. But trying to figure out, of course, who delivered it, and then maybe talking, because it's normally the same people who come to your house all the time. And if it was just a couple weeks ago, if it's the same person who delivers all the time, talk to the actual delivery person if at all possible. Hey, do you remember delivering something really big here? Kind of thing. They say they have cameras, you know, so I don't know. I don't want to call anybody a liar out there. If nothing was delivered, nothing was delivered. And it got me thinking about a seller tactic that, and I don't know that I've heard this on eBay, but I certainly have heard this, and I have no doubt that it happens on eBay too from time to time, with some bad sellers out there that give us all a bad reputation. But, and I had a personal experience with this years and years ago buying, I think it was off of Bonanza, and I've only ever made a couple purchases off of Bonanza, and I probably won't just because of what happened, where I bought something and it showed as delivered, and there's no way in the world the thing was delivered. We don't have porch pirates around here and all that stuff. And so I did some investigating, and what they actually did was they sent a letter, just an envelope. It was junk mail that had tracking on it, so that the tracking showed it was delivered, but they sent nothing of value to me. And so the tracking shows it's delivered, but the item never actually showed up. So I gave her that thought as well. That doesn't mean there's a solution, right? If you live in a high crime area and you see porch pirates and stuff like that, maybe contact the police. But, you know, I don't know. That's a tough one. But I can tell you that that's difficult to do multiple times on eBay. eBay tracks that stuff. And if you're a seller who constantly has the same complaint, I would hope anyways, eBay, if you're listening, that they would deal with that stuff. Now, whether they do or not, I suppose I don't think I'll ever know, but there are bad sellers and bad buyers out there. And I think over time, we learn to accept some things and learn how to avoid other things. So leave your tips below in regards to something like that. No joke, I just spent like 3 minutes digging through this jeans bin. I pulled out every single pair of jeans, and it was the absolute bottom. I should have figured that out from the get-go, because this one went off on 30% off, which means it's been in the store a long, long time. But there it is, after I pulled this pile up, and you know, it's not a huge profit here. I pay $1 for most jeans. Every once in a while, I'll pay a couple, maybe 3 if it's really high-end, but I have no doubt I would have only paid $1 for these. Got a little dust on it. 5'11" skinny jeans right here, and a little charcoal black. And it sold on clearance, 30% off for $13.20 plus shipping, $13.30 plus shipping. I'm gonna move these because I don't want to mess them up. And so even if you buy low and you end up having to ditch them later at 30% off, you're still making, you know, 10 bucks profit on them. All right, this one might, in a little bit here, lead into what I want to talk about. I've been getting more and more questions. I'm not gonna be able to hang this up, it's so heavy, about my decision to quit teaching, and some of the things I've said in the past has led to some more questions, so I'm going to talk about that. But I was at a sale and there were 3 of these wetsuits out there. This is full body. They wanted 20 bucks a piece, and I was like, whew. One of them I recognized as a really good name, and I figured it would be worth some money. This one I thought would be okay, and it turned out to be okay. I've paid 15 a piece. I bought them all. I think that's what, or did I say 40 for all 3? Anyway, I bundled it together. One turned out not to be great. This one's okay, $40 plus shipping. We'll make our money back, get a little profit. Still have 2 left, and one of them is super good. Ended up being over $100. I think $150 or something like that plus shipping. Let me pull 2 more items real quick, and I'll get into that topic. Some of you might not find it interesting, but apparently some people do, because I'm getting a lot more questions about it lately. Disneyland Resort Mickey bobblehead baseball. I have a little video on how to ship bobbleheads so they don't get chips underneath them when you ship them. A little bubble wrap scarf. How you doing, Pepper? And this one sold for $21.80 plus shipping. I love having the door open. Look at Wallet out there. How you doing, bud? But the wasps are coming in and the flies are coming in. I'm gonna leave it open. Maybe I can get lucky. You know me and Afghan, especially granny squares, but sometimes they don't all work out. But if they're super cheap, I pick them up anyways. This one did not sell. It got put on 30% off, and it finally did sell for $14. And it's not the typical one that I sell, which kind of explains it. It's a small baby blanket. Excellent condition, but not vintage, not the traditional granny square style, you know, the Roseanne type one. But so I'm still happy. You know, paid just $1 or $2 and got $14 plus shipping. I still have a few more sales to get through, and I got to get Turner to practice as well. I thought I put my blue hat on today. I was wondering when you were going to come in today. When I wear a gray shirt, colorless shirt, I like to have a colorful hat. So, anyway, I've got this question so much, and I know it came from a couple statements that I made on a podcast and one on this show. So I figured I'd just answer it here. And I think it's somewhat relevant in why a lot of folks out there love reselling. And it's because the nature of this game really rewards you for educating yourself, for becoming better, for learning the ins and outs, some of the stuff we talk about all the time. There's a learning curve to this, both on the picking side, the organizational side, the financial side, the selling side. There's learning curves on all of those things. And so it reminded me of my teaching days a little bit. And I said something about teaching that some people, I don't know if they didn't like it or they just didn't understand it or if they were curious more about my particular story. And it kind of leads into a little bit what I want to talk about in the next episode. So I figured I'd do this to give a little context to that on the next episode. So, you know, when I started teaching, I've gone through the story before. It was really kind of the only choice that I had. I did not like school. I hated school, as a matter of fact. I loved learning. I just hated school. And I was no dummy. I just didn't like sitting through a boring class all day, and I hated college for that matter until I got into some things that were a little different, and I really enjoyed history. Became a teacher, didn't make a ton of money, but for whatever reason, I was a good teacher. And the first couple of years, you know, trying to prove yourself, and you were motivated to be a good teacher, and, you know, prove yourself to the folks who were there, the administration. But once that wore off, what I began to see, and this is no critique of any teachers out there, I think most teachers would agree with what I'm saying. What I started to see was other teachers would do, well, let me say it this way first. The better I got at what I was doing, and I continually got better at what I was doing, I enjoyed what I was doing. But the better I got at it, the more responsibility I got with no more pay. And what I would see is folks out there who would go get their master's degrees in order to get a raise. Or I'd see teachers that have been teaching for 30 years getting paid way more money than I was. And they weren't doing anything at all. They were doing nothing. They had no motivation. They had no desire to actually do their job well. And they kept getting bumps because they've been there for a long time. In other words, it was not a meritocracy by any stretch of the imagination. And it begins to wear on you a little bit. It's like, why am I putting in all this hard work? Why am I doing all that I'm doing, if I'm not being rewarded for it, as a matter of fact, being punished for it with more responsibility. Then you'd see folks who would, you know, they need increases in their paychecks and whatever, and so you see these good teachers that love the kids, that love teaching, they'd go into administration. Or you'd see bad teachers go into administration because they couldn't handle the kids, and that was even worse. And so all these things, and I felt like, and this is why I don't talk about it much, because it comes off as me being arrogant, but I felt like I was a really daggone good teacher, like really good, compared to so many folks that were doing what I was doing. I felt like I was serving the kids well, the parents well, and not only not being rewarded for it financially, but in reverse, it was more and more heaped on you because you were one who took, you know, some seriousness about what you were doing with other people's kids. And so it just wore on me. It's why reselling appealed to me so much, because it is a pure meritocracy. Well, it kind of used to be a pure meritocracy. You start to throw in promoted listings and all the different stuff that goes on. It's becoming less of that. But at the very least, I knew that I could get better at this, and I slowly but surely have over the years, and it's a learning curve. I'm still learning. I'm still jealous of so many resellers out there who do things that I'm like, man, I should have done that years ago. And I still don't know, but I hope I'm getting better and better, and maybe someday I'll be as good as some of those folks out there that I'm talking about. But one thing I absolutely know for sure is the harder you work, the smarter you work, the more, like for instance in education, you know, I hated school. So the idea of going back to get a master's to get a pay raise was to me ridiculous. Because the folks who went back to school to get a pay raise, they would end up taking their master's work and they became worse teachers because they were dedicating so much time to that. I'm like, something is really screwed up in this system. You know, and I would talk to my kids because that was part of my curriculum, talking about different styles and cultures around the world and class structures that were rigid, and you couldn't rise and fall in a class structure. You were stuck there, like the caste system, for instance, in India. And I'm like, you know, we're so fortunate to live in a meritocracy here in the United States, but I was preaching that in a place that was anything but a meritocracy. It was, you got paid this amount if you're the best teacher in the building or the worst teacher in the building. It didn't matter, you got paid the same amount. So I was thirsting for something, not that we are a pure meritocracy here either. Very, very few cultures, probably none ever is a pure meritocracy, but now I'm getting into history. But at least we have that ability to find what you do well and to do it better and to be financially rewarded for it. And you find that still in reselling. So that's why I made that decision. I mean, it was a bunch of other stuff as well. Obviously, the success of the YouTube channel really made it a lot easier to make that transition, but I had been planning on doing it for years. That just accelerated the process. So I'm wondering if any of you out there feel that, because I know there's folks out there stuck in those jobs where you're just not rewarded for doing a great job. You're just kind of stuck in there, and that's just how the system works. And there's a lot of professions out there like that, none quite like the public education system, but you get the point. So this is Philips Magnavox. Never have I had a VCR. Well, that's not true. One other time. Reached that 30% off level. Been in the store too long. I must have priced this one too high. But at 30% off, it's painful to let one of these go at 30% off. But I did. $30 plus shipping. I probably had it priced about $5 over what it should have been. I just went in and looked because I'm curious myself. Because I don't want to sell VCRs on a discount. I want to put it out there at the price. Because normally I list them and they sell them. But I had this one at a higher shipping price than I typically do. And I think that really affected it. But hey, you know, $5 into 30 plus shipping. The shipping's a little high. I'm going to make a little on this shipping on this one. But that one had a remote, so it's painful. But hey, I'll take it. Still a profit. And I don't mind shipping VCRs. If you did have one of those professions, let me know which one it was and why you gravitated towards reselling. Sometimes just to supplement it, just to give you that feeling of earning your success. This was something that it was so cheap in a bundle. I picked it up and then I looked it up and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to list it, to be honest with you, because it was a 2-part one and it only sold for $15. I'm like, that seems like a lot of trouble for $15. But I'm like, you know what? Somebody needs this out there at a decent price. And I figured, let's list it. And we put it out there at a good price, sold $15 plus shipping. Reminds me a little bit of the conversations we have on the Trash to Cash podcast with Carrie, American Arbitrage. Always, you know, 3 degrees. I've got 3 degrees. Dave, of course, doesn't have any. And I have a degree that I don't use. And in reality, we all have degrees that we don't use. But that's not to not value an education. Education is extremely important. But sometimes, education and degrees are two entirely different things. And some of you folks in the education world know what I'm talking about, or just in the normal world, let's face it, I gotta find this one. Certain holidays and certain seasons always increase the banner sales, and I haven't been doing too good on banner sales lately. It's not a great category to sell in, if you need to be perfectly honest with you. But for $1, I pick this stuff up all the time. It's got a couple issues. It's still sold, and it's sold for, it's two-sided, faded at the top, sold for 20 bucks. Jeez, I can't get this to stay up there, plus shipping. All right, I kind of guessed on this one, to be honest with you. Oh, that's pepper. I thought it was no name. And put a price on it. It's Easy Rider. It's really nice leather. And I put a $35 price on it, and it sold within like 24 hours, I think. So maybe I did it too low, but who knows? I'm still making good money on it. All right, I made another mistake. I sold an item that the quantity had run out on, so I probably made a mistake when I put the quantity in a year ago. I mentioned this on the last show. The WCW NWO one is gone, and so, well, how'd that get in there? So I asked the gentleman, I'm like, hey, I really screwed up on this one. Could I send you 2 of a different one instead of the one that I sold you? And then I reduced the quantity on these, and I gotta remember, I think it was Kevin Nash. Is that Kevin Nash? How do you keep getting down here? What in the world? I don't understand it. Somebody's playing a joke on me. That's Nitro. This is Sting. Let's see here. How about up here? No? Boy, I made this new system and it's not working real good for me, is it? Goldberg is not it. It's gonna be here. It's these two right here. Maybe. I don't know. That one is just Nitro. This one is Kevin Nash. So maybe it's Sting. I think that's what he said. He said, give me a Sting and a Kevin Nash. And so I'm sending 2 out. I'm still making a tiny profit, but I'm more importantly satisfying the customer and fixing my mistake. Y'all, Turner's got some practice tonight, and you were just at Granny and Pa's making money. Look at you. All right, here's a money joke.
Why is dough another word for money?
Why is dough another word for money? I don't know why.
Because everyone needs it.
Thank you, bud.
Bye.
Such a nice day today. Reagan figured she'd do CommonwealthPicker.com stuff out here. What do you got?
Caleb got a trash to cash bag, and Phil, Paul, and William got a hillbilly sticker.
Hillbilly sticker. Just a few left. Thank you, Reagan. We appreciate it.
Bye, and don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
All right, y'all, it's a little windy out here. I hope you can hear this, doesn't distract you too much. So I said there'd be an announcement at the end of this. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. You know, I've talked about Bubba's girlfriend helping us out a little bit. Well, she is also in school, you know, in finals and all that. She's going to be graduating at a very young age, I might add, which is amazing. So congrats to her. And so we've also brought Jess on from time to time when we buy a big lot of stuff, and just to help us process it. And I said that's what I was going to do when I started to do the to do the live selling. And we've divided the business up, and it's really made my eBay kind of explode to have somebody come in when I make a massive buy and help me get it all organized and separated. You probably know Jess, and you certainly know Bubba's girlfriend if you watch the live auctions, because that's what they handle for me. It's freed up so much time for me to do eBay, and the system is working so good, and the eBay sales have really gone up, and I want that to continue. This is a tough decision for me. It has been for a long time, and I am pretty pleased at how it's gone, because I don't love live selling. What I absolutely love is picking garage sales, and I absolutely love selling on eBay. It's what I'm passionate about. It's where I'm the most happy. And so I've always avoided a couple things. And for a while, I avoided all live selling at all until my family. Bubba's girlfriend was helping. My wife helps with that. My daughter helps with that. And Jess helps with the live selling as well. So Jess is in a place in her life right now where she's really got to make some decisions as far as what she wants to do. And I couldn't really afford to lose and still do live selling Bubba's girlfriend. And we might not lose her, but let's face it, she's graduating here pretty quick. And her, when she comes in and helps with that, I'd have to stop doing live selling, essentially. And so I think we've made a decision here that what we're going to do is add another piece to our business and increase the live selling and have me not do it. Or at least, you know, host the show, but that's it. All right, I've never really formally introduced Jess here, so I'm putting her on the spot. So this is Jess. I'm gonna say hi to everybody. So she's in here working on some stuff because we've been selling, if you follow us on Whatnot or on Dibdit or whatever, we've been selling these vintage 70s decals off, and we've got some single stitch shirts, and she's working on making these because she's going to head up two parts of our business now. She's going to head up all of the live selling. She's trying to recruit Blue Ridge Mama to do some shows, just the two of them, and Blue Ridge Mama said she would, and of course Bubba's girlfriend. So how cool is this, y'all? Really cool. Single stitch. I love it. So that, and then the new part of the business, and she's going to be the contact person, and we're going to do local stuff and put some advertisement on around here to do buyouts. You got an email address, so if anybody wants to contact you, what is it?
jess.commonwealthpicker@gmail.com.
I get requests all the time for folks who want to sell off an entire collection, and I always pass them up without exception. Well, with very few exceptions. And so we're going to put that out there and make that a part of our business as well, because I don't think I can buy enough stuff at garage sales if you're going to be here all the time, Jess. So
I'm getting, did you show them the bins?
Yeah, look at this. So the new system here is just unbelievable. And I have been able to focus so much more on eBay, which is amazing. And we're getting listings up like crazy, good high quality items as well. And so for somebody to take all of the live selling off of my hands, with the help, of course, of Bubba's girlfriend, you think she'll stick around after she graduates?
I don't think she's going anywhere.
Very good. So I'm excited about this, and I've got some other strategies that I'm going to tell you all about in the future, and I'm really excited about it because I can maintain what I always have done and always will do. So say hi to Jess. And so for my traditional form of sourcing, which is garage sales, I'm never giving that up, period. And I'm never giving up this flipper channel. I'm never giving up that shed in there. I'm never giving up the eBay selling. I just love it too much. So what I did was propose something to Jess and say, listen, you know, instead of coming by when we need a little extra help from time to time, how about coming on a little bit more and coming here more regularly, and let's expand the selling side of it over there live. And that would include having to do private picks and having to do buyouts, which is something I've never really done before. I get offers all the time, and I just turn them down. To be honest with you, it's about content and relatability to folks, because what I am, I think, is what most resellers are out there. Not the full-time folks necessarily, but people that love going to garage sales so much that they also want to turn it into a money-making thing to make some extra income. And I always want to be that, and I'm always going to stay that. But I thought this might be something that we could expand the business, give her an opportunity, because she's got a young boy who happens to be Turner's best friend, and give her the flexibility to be able to work a little bit more. And we're going to bring her on, I wouldn't say full-time, but she's going to be in charge of the live selling, and she's going to be in charge of helping me source more things for that side of the business so I can continue to grow eBay. My goal, I have no doubt we're going to eclipse our best eBay total of all time this year. We're already well past that pace, doing it in a system that we have now. And I want to make that grow even more. And I think, you know, because this stuff costs, you know, when you start paying people to help you, even if it's one side of your business, you know, that costs some money. And you got to make sure not only can you pay them, but also turn a profit. And I think we figured out how to do this, but a piece of that is going to be with some private buyouts. We've got the trailer now as well, Mike, and we can schedule things to go and do some massive collection buyouts. And I think, well, I know she's agreed to help us with that.